Nintendo!
Welcome back to another Aberrus boss guide. My name is Chrono, and today we're going over Zskarn. This will be a sizable jump up in difficulty, and will likely be the 6th boss you go for. The pacing and vibe of this encounter is reminiscent of Paintsmith from Sanctum. Alright, let's get started. The entire arena has tiles, each with a Dragonfire trap, that are deactivated when you start the fight. Zskarn periodically enables 2 near him, as well as a random one at ranged, causing each affected tile to be covered in fire. On heroic testing, being caught in this fire gave you stacks of a magic debuff that did intense ticking damage, but this was pruned during both days of Mythic testing, and the journal now reflects that. So when this goes live, you can expect that the stacking dot you get ticks for less, lasts for a shorter duration, but could no longer be dispelled. Animate Golems calls forth mechanical adds that will fixate towards a random tile in an attempt to activate it. It's imperative that you keep these under control, as they'll quickly cover the room in fire if left alone. You can fully CC and grip these, as well as interrupt their cast while activating a trap. Right-click to loot the golem, then left-click a trap to deactivate it. Unstable Embers does ticking damage to a handful of players, marked by circles. These players need to be aware of the space that they're denying during particular mechanic overlaps. At max energy, Zskarn activates all of the dragon statues on the edge of the room closest to him, so you have control over what part of the room this affects. Getting hit by any of the pulses for this ability is a one-shot. Each time it fires off, its range increases, so just because you survived one blast doesn't mean you're safe for the rest of them. The final spray covers about 60% of the entire room, so this mechanic essentially forces the raid to the complete opposite side. Blast Wave is a cast that knocks back the entire raid. It's not a huge threat on its own, but you need to be aware of when this knockback is happening relative to when the next tactical destruction occurs. There is an overlap in the fight where the knockback happens while the tactical destruction explosions are already underway, so being in a bad position could guarantee your death. There are 2 tank mechanics to be aware of in this fight. Searing Claws applies a stacking fire dot. Use your judgment for how many stacks is too many. The tank that's not on the boss will be looking to soak these shrapnel bombs that the boss spawns. These do a heavy amount of physical damage, so the DPS shouldn't be doing this unless they have an immunity. There's enough going on for the tanks between handling taunt swaps, soaking bombs, and managing adds such that it's not a bad idea to consider using a 3rd tank for this fight. This boss is all about making good use of your space, stopping adds from ever activating extra traps, and being smart about your positioning as blast waves and statue explosions occur. There are 2 mechanical changes on Mythic. Whenever the Unstable Embers debuffs expire on their targets, the boss fires off an elimination protocol at each of them, doing a moderate amount of damage and leaving a small dot. Anybody getting hit by more than one line dies instantly, so functionally it works just like the lines on Hungering Destroyer. The other change is that once adds hit half HP, they can no longer be CC'd, so it becomes very important that they get gripped shortly after spawning to be focused down. What you'll notice early into pulling this is that the pacing of the mechanics are ramped way up from heroic, to the point where it feels like everything happens at double speed and the room gets covered in fire very quickly if you don't keep things under control. This will likely be the first true gear check, as the difficulty of this fight comes down to how consistently you can stay ahead of the ad spawns while still having uptime on the boss. On top of positioning yourself well for knockbacks, you now need to consider not getting in the way with Elimination Protocol to not murder random people around you. If you ever feel like space is limited, it's perfectly fine to intentionally get hit by one, as it won't put you in danger if you're already at max HP. Mythic Zskarn is an incredibly fast-paced boss, and is a great way to lead into the final stretch of the raid. All that's left to cover are Magmarax and the Echo of Neltharion, so look forward to the release of those in the coming week. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.